Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on a Friday morning. Yes, it's a duo when we're right back. Benga, good to have you back, by the way.
Yes, it's good to be back in the city of aquatic splendor. And I did miss out on the E1 boat racing. It was glamorous, you know, Lagos put up a show. And I wish, you know, I was there to experience it. So kudos to the Lagos State government. I just wanted to add one or two things that, you know, the way the waterways were smooth and those boats were gliding, the electric power boats were gliding. We really hope that the roads will be road-worthy enough for us to be able to glide with our cars on the streets of Lagos, because the state of the roads are not smiling at all. Mechanics are smiling to the banks, shock absorbers are crying. Lagos State Government, Department of Public Works, please do something. It's called the Center of Excellence for a reason, and people pay taxes, so it's the minimum you could do. So we're appealing to you to please, as a matter of emergency, especially the Lekki corridor, to do something about the state of the roads. But I guess from that we can segue into something that they're doing that is really, really nice, infrastructure projects. I'm talking about the, but let's. Okay, it's part of our first week.
Yeah, it's part of our first. Anyway. I mean, you were just talking about the roads, and here I am heaving a sigh of, not relief, but of fear and pain. And frustration. Because you said the mechanics are smiling to the bank, and I'll be honest with you, yes, because I'm about to call my own again. You know, the car is crying, bad roads, I hit the holes on the road, swimming pool sizes.
I mean, even though you apply that route every day, there's a new pothole somewhere that will surprise you.
Yeah, right. The one I got into yesterday, I didn't see it. Brand new, because it would be like,
when did they burn this one?
You know, we could laugh all we can here, but the truth is, it's no longer funny, and it's becoming painful.
It has real-life implications.
It has real-life implications, especially now that the economy is tough. The same money you're going to use to take care of a family and so on, you're already thinking, I mean, like I always tell people that if you have a car or a pet, that's your child. It's part of the family. So I even give I name it. You know, just like I'll name my pet. You know, I used to have one, don't have a pet anymore, but I hope to have one again. I love dogs, by the way. So you give the dog a name, Bob. You also give your car a name, okay? And say, okay, this is Ted. Ted, too, will eat money. You will take care of him.
You have to buy fuel, servicing, that's like medical checkup.
Yes, Ted will go for medical checkup. When the roads deal with him, he will have to fix it, because he's going to be crying as well.
Absolutely.
These are the challenges we're having. But then again, I want to welcome you. Olive will not be able to join us today, but then again, I've got Benga Browa, who's here, all the way from Abuja. I asked Olive yesterday about her experience. I'm going to ask you today before we go into our wake-up conversation. Great job, by the way, you guys pulled out there. Thank you very much. Especially for the Nigerian Economic Summit. It was fantastic. I liked the interviews. We did watch your interview as well with the minister, and then Olive as well yesterday. Not just the interviews, the entire team who went straight to Abuja to put this.
I mean, it's News Central. What do you expect? When News Central has its name on anything, it's excellence. We deliver top notch. And it was a good experience for the breakfast team to move as one to another city. And I'm sure viewers didn't really feel much of a difference. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. You know, all those banter, Oliver Nine, you, and smiling and all of that. There's so much work that comes before that. We just don't sit on screen and talk. But it's part of the job. We love it. And kudos to the management, kudos to the organizers of NES 31 and the Ministry of Budget and National Planning for putting together this, because it was a one-stop shop for policymakers, for government, for stakeholders, the business community to sit down and deliberate on issues of the economy, on how to go forward. And our hope is that it's not just a talk shop. They take some of the recommendations and implement them, and I'm very positive that we will see some implementation. And the who is who of Nigeria's business community were present in Abuja. So it's good. I mean, and then on a personal note, being a long-term resident of Lagos and going to Abuja, it was like I traveled to another country. I'm not kidding you. The roads are wider, the landscaping, the quality of the air we breathe in.
So the FCT minister is working?
The planners of Abuja did a great work in planning, and it's not just the FCT minister. Abuja has been built since the 1980s. So the landscaping, the planning, the quality of the road networks, you wake up in the morning and you hear birds chirping. When last did you hear that? Bro, all the birds in Lagos, they've used them for suya or asa.
Yeah, the only thing I hear is I found that people are now rearing chickens ahead of December.
That's the way to go. It's more economical.
Chicken, and you are like, what's going on? Neighbors are ready, they bought chickens, So by December, young shall grow.
Bro, you know how much a chicken is in the market?
Last year, December, people were buying chicken for 20K. Wow. He paid them. They're like, what?
So that's the way to do it.
They don't want it anymore.
Everybody is now into animal husbandry. So let's go to our first wake-up conversation on a very serious note. We were complaining about the state of roads, which is valid in Lagos State, but the Lagos State government also is trying to, commit itself to infrastructure projects, expand the road networks where they can, build bridges and linkages, and they've done a few in the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and one of such projects, one project that will definitely change the road network and ease traffic around the Ikeja, Opebi, Maryland axis is the Opebi-Mende Bridge. The bridge is almost ready for commissioning. They're just working on a few access roads from Opebi, expanding the road. So because of the anticipated increase in vehicular traffic. And guess what is happening? A yet to be commissioned road. This is where we talk about indiscipline of our people and almost impunity and lawlessness. But let's not be too hard on Nigerians. I'll get to that in our analysis. Let me just tell you the story is that squatters have gone there to take bed space. And commercial food vendors, mechanics, on the bridge is a free shop, choice location, there's a shade for them. It's just almost like a natural habitat. But let's take a listen to what the Commissioner for Environment had to say about this latest development at the yet-to-be-commissioned Opebi-Mende Bridge.
Why are you guys here? By 4 o'clock, all this place, all of them. Okay? I hold your we have no even commission. Where are we like this? Come on, Shan. I'm not happy with this.
I'm going to clear it in the next 1 hour.
Okay, I don't see any of their elements. Take them away and destroy them.
Yes, sir.
And everybody know. You kidding me?
Hello?
What are you guys doing here? Come here. Why are you guys staying on that place? Why? No, what are you guys doing under this place? Why? Even there soon now, you know
Maybe somebody there. Who is sleeping here?
Come on now. Come on.
I don't see anybody from that. Look at the new infrastructure.
And please, you work with my team, so we
Yeah,
get
so
reports. We want because we are going to go to Exco.
And I want some Black Green Maria station here. Oga, come. What are you doing? What do you do for you?
Wow. Lagos, the city of aquatic splendor.
The center of excellence.
And hustlers. The den of hustlers.
Yes, and the city that accommodates, I mean, it's very cosmopolitan. The pressure on Lagos is too much. Everybody, there are truckloads of people coming to Lagos every day, and they're overwhelming the infrastructure. Some don't even have plans. Some don't even think of accommodation. And, you know, so the public infrastructure, bridges, just they make sure
there are lots of stories that you hear and read about of people who ventured and decided to come to Lagos and lived under the bridge and now live in Lekki. There are stories like that. Yes, there are stories. Few stories like that. And then there are stories of artists, musicians who just, you know, said, I think you have the likes of, they just pack up their belongings,
like
MI
came from America.
They just headed straight to came to Lagos.
They feel Lagos is where
Lagos. It's New York. It's New York.
It's New York.
You
like
have the same.
And these same problems that we see of
it's also in New York as well.
In London, in New York.
It's too much. It's there. So when you have a metropolitan city, you're expected to have things like this. These challenges is normal. You have people who are on the road, on the streets. Bear in mind that Lagos is one of the most, is the busiest commercial nerve, whether you like it or not. And because it's the commercial nerve, people have this mindset that even if they fire a car, you know, on the streets, they will sell out. And that's the truth. And they usually sell out because there's population.
The volume of
population is much, it's heavy. So everybody would need something to feast on, and that's why you need to give them variety. Let there be options. Options of not everyone will be able to eat at the, you know, the A class, B class, C class. You have people who are of the D and E.
And you have people on the move, on the go.
So you have all these challenges. But kudos to the commissioner for going around to ensure that the inspection is carried out. And I could tell from his body language when he said, I'm not happy with you. He was talking to,
of course,
these are the core marshals, these are the people who have been saddled.
Kick against discipline.
Who have been saddled with the responsibility to ensure that they keep that place clean, tidy it up. It's not been commissioned yet, but for him to say that, it shows that some people are not also doing their jobs. Now, let me state,
or maybe some people have collected.
That is where I was going to. That's what I was going to. Not just bribe, Benga. Let's state this clearly to the cameras and for the commissioners and the Lagos State governor, which by now they are aware. Do you know that area boys charge for people to stay in these places? They collect money.
Of course.
They collect money. I was even shocked when I found out 2 weeks ago, a beggar, they
pay for space,
was paying for their space before they resumed work begging. I was shocked.
This is
I was
crazy.
Shocked. And you can fact check me this morning. Fact check what I'm saying. I mean, this is me. I'm not running away. Fact check me. Beggars pay area boys to have their space so they can balance and start begging.
It's a joke.
In Lagos.
Wow, the things that happen in Lagos.
Oh my goodness. When I saw it, I said, wait, I said, wait, why are they paying that area? They say,
you pay for space.
You have to pay for space now to resume work.
This is work.
And I said, what? That's what you have in Lagos.
Things that happen. But then, like you said, the government has to rise above the occasion and, you know, keep the area free from these vagrants and people that have turned it to commercial spaces. And this is not just unique to Nigeria, like we said, but the government's responsibility is to ensure the best thing that would happen to that Mende Opebi Bridge area is because under the bridge you have vast expanse of land. You could use it as a park, and we have Lagos State Parks Authority.
Hopefully they will not get
the landscaping. No, there's a way they would design. For example, if you're driving into
Maryland,
Ikoyi, from there's a park on the right. There's a way to beautify that. Every right-thinking person won't be able to. Just before Dolphin Estate, so they can do something like that for the beautify the land, do proper landscaping, beautify the area. have parks and, you know, make it very homely, then these people won't be, because nature abhors a vacuum. If you leave it so cozy and empty, these guys they're seeing premium accommodation, bed space, and they've occupied it.
Bigger, good idea. I agree with you. But you see, there are some people, I'm still going back to the street urchins, aka area boys. There's something the governor needs to understand, and Lagosians are already seeing it. If care is not taken, in a few years from now, and again, I'm going to say it, quote me and fact check me, few years to come, the government's policies will be overridden or will be taken over by the so-called street urchins that are being harbored and being encouraged.
Or they'll start taking tax from private cars.
It's starting already. It started already.
Yeah, because if you
last
want to
year, if you were going to climb the bridge at Ojota, Ojota Bridge, I took that on my phone. I did a video on it. Area boys were standing on the bridge. You, as a commuter, if you were passing and you have nylon bags, or they tell you stop, you have to pay 15 or 100.
Money for load.
And somebody recorded it, and I picked the video immediately, and somebody said, look at what is happening, what is going on?
Yeah,
and guess what?
They become a menace.
That video, it's on my page, I'm sure. On that video, they stopped the lady, she had something on her head, and she told them why, and she paid.
It's ridiculous.
So, if Lagos State is not careful,
they might be creating a monster.
Thank you. The monster has been created. Yes. You guys know that they've made, you know what Brother Boy said, the monsters you made, they've created the monster. The problem will now be, can they control and tame the monster? It's not looking like they will be able to do so.
But sometimes they enjoy these monsters.
Because, of course, they use them
as political dogs.
I mean, that's what said. Although Lagos State to deny that. Lagos will tell you that they don't. You know, they don't use them. They will tell you that. The governor will tell you no. Anybody will tell you no.
To foment trouble during elections.
But then again, it is what it is. Let's see what Nigerians are saying about the reaction. Let's take reactions practically, especially. What Nigerians are saying, Temi Sui. That looks like a Cristiano Ronaldo. As usual, it's easier to clean up the bridge than to clean up the policies that allow this to happen. Did you see that? I'm sure Temi knows what we're saying here.
Dealing with unemployment.
Yes, exactly.
Infrastructure issues.
Exactly. Let's see another one. Benja says at Last Park, Lagos can beautify that area, especially the underbridge, just like Benga said. If the space is left without anything done there, those people will always come back, and some people will start collecting.
Exactly what you said.
Look at it now. Omonilu. And some that will disguise as government officials. That one is very true. And I've also seen that with my eyes.
And stickers.
And so on as well. Taxa Doll, well, I hope I got that right, says, until there's designated spaces for all trades and services like car repair, everywhere will be market, motor park, mechanic park, refuse stop, and squatter homes. And I agree. If you make your way to Houston, for instance, just to mention, Houston has a space where it's just for medical. Anything medical, anybody who's sick, hospitals are just lined up on that space, that boulevard, all the way down. If you need car repairs, there's another place there just by your right, all the way down. And coincidentally, they said you have car shops that were owned by Akim Olajuwon. They were also there as well. Shaquille O'Neal also had his own. So you have them lined up on that district. That's what they call planning.
An organization.
Planning. Until Lagos acknowledges it has an area boy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're really
area boy problem. Let's go back there. Let's see if we can go back there. Until Lagos acknowledges it has an area boy problem, things like this will continue to happen. Lagos does a lot of infrastructure, parks, gardens, but how many people can use them? They turn out to be hideouts and shelters for area boys.
They don't do a lot.
100% Prince Olushola. Funny enough, you read our minds. We just said it here as well. That's what Lagos State needs to agree with and come to terms with the fact. Look, I want to take the next one very quickly. Let's see.
Adele Michael says, I wish the government could render help to these people, even though I'm not in support of them living and doing business under the bridge for whatever reason. But then life happens to us differently. I do understand, and I understand your sentiments, but the Lagos State government can't take care of every single person that comes from Cameroon or Niger Republic or from different parts of the country. What are their governors doing? I'm not saying Lagos belongs to some people only, but please, you could overwhelm the system with the volume of people that are coming to Lagos. If they hear that Lagos is giving free shops and free accommodation, then all 130 million, all 240 plus Nigerian citizens will move to Lagos. Lagos Boy says government should be proactive. Some people are already filling the canals around the area and are already selling it. It's not just to wait for them to build and demolish. Things really need to be done differently. And I absolutely agree with Lagos Boy. You need to be proactive. It all started from one day, and that's where the Honorable Commissioner Tokunbo Wahab said he's not happy with the commander, because how did you allow this bloom into a full-blown market? You saw them moving from day one, day two. Don't you have regular spot checks? You know under bridges are choice areas for this sort of people, and then you wait until a senior government official in the capacity of a commissioner comes, and then you start moving around like you're working, or you wait for the problem to fester before you do something about it. So we need to be more proactive. Yeah,
I agree with you, Menga. Anyway, let's move to our next story very quickly on Wake Up Conversations. This week is known as Customer Service Week.
Yes.
Customer Service Week is a big thing for
Corporate
companies. It's a week you use to thank your customers. You show appreciation. It's also a week of, some have used it as a week of giving back to the customer.
And also, in some way, appreciating your own staff too.
Absolutely. So it's just a week of, I sometimes I call it a week of hospitality, because that's where you show that, I'm grateful for what you've done for me. You've kept me in business.
True.
I just want to say thank you.
Without you, there's no us.
That's the word that was used mostly in the calendars or in the adverts those days. I mean, without you, we wouldn't exist. Without you, there's no us. And everybody goes ahead to do these things. You do have people from from companies, blue chip companies, who thank their partners thanking the companies, staff, employees, employers, down to hotels, restaurants. Some restaurants even go as far as saying, "Oh, because you've always visited us, used here, want to say thank you." Wow. But this one on the screen is a shocker. The Nigerian Police Force Customer Service Week, as we renew our commitment to placing you at the heart.
Yes, now they serve and protect Nigerians, so they are appreciating
your safety.
And maybe it's part of the Customer Service Week that they finally got delivery of the certified true copy of the court order on tint permit, and they've decided to stand down for now. So it's part of their contribution towards Customer Service Week. No, it's just logical. But I hope it won't come back again, because they don't want to agree for that tint permit. First of all,
what do you make of the Nigerian police putting up that statement?
I mean, it's good. It's in
customer service. Who are the customers?
Nigerian citizens, because they're there to serve and protect us. So they appreciate us for cooperating, for whistleblowing, for giving leads on criminal hideouts.
Does that make you a customer?
Okay, their customers should be those people in jail.
No.
Okay, we're stakeholders. So Customer Service Week doesn't necessarily, it means all the stakeholders, because you're a stakeholder in security.
No, Benga, no, I don't agree with you. He said, wait, Customer Service Week. The emphasis, customer.
Who are their customers?
Customer.
They are their customers, no? Because they are protecting us. And those ones that are locked up in prison are their what? Constituents.
I have no words for this. I just don't. But then again, let's see what Nigerians are saying, because it's what Nigerians are saying. Let them define it for us.
Okay, we'll come back.
Mesh analysis says, when we say institutional decay, this is what we are saying. When a law enforcement agency sees herself as a business venture, thank you.
Are you not paying for tint permit? Do you know how much they've generated?
They are not a business. They were not set up to run a business, keep accounts, have an accountant, have this, have that. No, they are not a business venture. They don't trade.
Okay, but they're a service.
Yeah, well, they are law enforcement agency.
Okay, true.
I wouldn't say
you're right.
The populace is in deep trouble. Mesh is saying, I see why men of the force are constantly transacting on highway day and night. Thank you. Now, who are the customers again, I ask? More drink water now. Untold Alternative says, isn't policing in a democratic society supposed to be about public safety, law enforcement, and building community trust by ensuring fairness and justice? At what point did policing become transactional to the extent of having customers? Can someone please bring us up to speed, for goodness sake?
Okay, now I see.
I'm also here shouting,
I
help.
see the angle. Waiting at the cell. Aren't we friends no more? The police is your friend now. You're selling Happy Customer Week. You know, okay. Yeah, let's take this. Ife Chukwude says, we are not your customers because you don't run a business. We are your bosses because you serve us as citizens. The police serves the public, protect lives, and enforce the laws, not sell a service. Calling people customers misrepresents duty and turn a public service into a shop transaction. But, you know, they could be saying Happy Customer Week to Nigerians.
No,
on the side
they're not in the right place to even use that word.
Because Nigerians are celebrating customer service.
No, they can't.
So
the police force should not be the ones saying that.
They
Look at this
really
one. I don't understand. Me, NPF, you refer to me as a customer? Must be fufu because a me citizen, they call me customer. Omoyele official CEO. Are you aware?
I wonder who approved of this. They probably didn't envisage
the
sort of backlash they will get, or they didn't think it through.
Please, the Nigerian police force, please, we love you. We understand how hard-working you are, even though some Nigerians have a different opinion of some of your men. But please put out a statement quickly, please, please, and correct this negative post. That you can state that we sincerely want to apologize for an error that was posted on our social media page where we wished Nigerians happy customer service. Don't explain why you chose to say the reason why we did this was because you have no business. You are not selling. We don't walk into the police station and say, Alpha, I won't buy trouble. Yeah, but
if
you're
paying for tint permit,
they bring up yours. Which trouble do you want to buy?
Yeah, but now that they've made this tint permit,
the tint permit is actually, so it's not that they're not selling it.
But you have to pay to get the service.
So you pay,
money's exchange hands.
So that's why people are also worried about that. That's why institutionally, you have the lawyers also worried about that. That is it the police that are supposed to handle that?
Is it a revenue generator?
Is it a revenue generator? And think about it, is it the police that are supposed to accept money for tint permits? If you ask me, I would say no, it's not supposed to be the police. The police shouldn't be there to say, okay, how far is your tint permit? You don't pay. Okay, this. No. Because if we're not careful...
It's distracting from their primary responsibility.
They are to protect lives, properties, and ensure that they build communities, secure. That's it.
Yeah. Let's see if there will be a follow-up or a statement, as Joe said, from the Nigerian police hierarchy.
No, they need to correct that very quickly, very quickly. The customer service week ends this weekend. They should just try as much as possible and correct it. If they are watching now, somebody's a police officer watching us, please just send a message to the IG to just quickly call the
Public Relations Department.
And David, he has been promoted now.
Not David Unde.
Benjamin, he has been promoted. So Benjamin, please.
It's the fourth Public Relations Officer.
I know there's something we've noticed in this administration. Everybody just wants to show working. It's like, let's bring
that's one of our wake-up conversations. But let's bring you our headlines for today. President Tinubu appoints Joash Amupitan as INEC Chair. Presidency rejects World Bank's poverty report. And Nigerians say, but you accept World Bank law. Omoyele Sowore to lead protests for Nnamdi Kanu's release on October the 20th. And President Tinubu exercises his prerogative of mercy and frees 175 inmates. We'll be bringing you the newspaper front pages later today. Feel free to call in and share your contributions with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly. The National Council of State has unanimously approved Professor Joash Amupitan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission following the expiration of Professor Mahmood Yakubu's tenure. While we await the Senate's approval, President Bola Tinubu, in presenting the nominee, described Amupitan as a political and eminently qualified to steer the electoral body. According to a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, President Tinubu emphasized the importance of integrity and experience in selecting the new INEC chairman.
Now, here's what you should know about the INEC new chairman. Professor Joash Amupitan is from Ijumu, Kogi State. He is a respected legal scholar with over 34 years of academic and public service experience. A professor of law at the University of Jos, he specializes in evidence law, corporate governance, and privatization law, and was conferred with the title of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, in 2014. He has held several leadership positions in academia, including Dean, Head of Department, and member of university governing councils, and currently serves as Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council at Joseph Ayo Babalola University. Well, let's dissect this very quickly. Joining us to discuss this, we do have policy development and advocate, of course, founder of TAF Africa. We have Dr. Jake Epelle, who joins us here. This time, we are looking at something that's very interesting, especially for Nigerians. A new INEC boss, meaning that the tentative one, who was just announced 48 hours ago, may not really have the beam or the torch focusing on her. But we have a new name. What's your take on the new person, the new elected, or I'd say chosen? Is it chosen or elected? These are the questions everyone is asking online. But let's leave you to answer that question. We know the answers, but let's allow you to do that for the public. Please go ahead.
Well, good morning, guys. Good morning, Nigerians. Every day is one breaking news or the other. Today we have a nominee, and I want to underscore a nominee. He is not yet INEC chairman. He's been nominated by the Council of States, and he will go on to the Senate for confirmation. I'll just give you some interesting statistics. This gentleman is being nominated. He hasn't resumed office, but as of today, we have 15 months to the February 2027 election. 15 months, about 455 days. If you want to break it down to weeks, about 65 weeks. A year is 1 year, 247 days. So these gentlemen have very limited time. His pedigree is good. His qualification is good. What are the things that we're looking at that could be some element of challenges for him? I don't think he has a cognate experience in election management. I don't think he's been involved in this high-level, high-profile institution. So it's going to be a daunting task for him. He looks, from his picture, I haven't met him in person, from the picture that I saw, he does have a demeanor of calmness, and then as a communication expert, I look beyond optics, you know. Is he going to be an independent person? Only God knows. I don't know how independent an individual will be, knowing fully well that the person who appointed him is a sitting president going for re-election. So how independent he is going to be will determine on the rapport that he establishes, either by choice or by force, with Aso Rock. if I'm in his shoes, I'll distance myself from Aso Rock because he has a lot to do and a lot of trust deficit in INEC. He will have to work so hard. It's like climbing Kilimanjaro to gain the confidence of Nigerian electorate. Yeah, you know, so great things for him. He's the first INEC chairman appointed from Kogi State, which is not central. He's coming with all his professional accolades, hopefully that will translate to his leadership skills. Professor Mahmoud came with all kinds of qualification, first class in history and all that, but yet he became the last class in managing election. And so the civil society were open, looking at this man's qualification. He has what it takes, but then will he be able to manage this giant elephant called INEC? Will he have the audacity to dismantle the hidden structures of INEC? Will he have the audacity to give capacity to the staff of INEC? Will he be willing to tell the public the truth about what happens in INEC? Now, here's my last take. Will the government be sincere to release, to give him the appropriate funding that he needs and release it on time? If he's starved of funds, then he'll be in trouble. Is he going to constantly engage the media, the public, so that he can come under scrutiny? Will he be responsible, accountable, and show true patriotism? The technological challenges he's going to face in INEC is these beavers and all that, the workability, the timely release of information and results, the cooperation of RECs, who are, many of them are raking elections in Nigeria. All of that, you know, are the things that will face him, you know. Can he manage the pressure of the kind of office that he's going to occupy? Without judging him before he comes to the mantle of leadership, I think if he wants to serve and make a good name for himself and his family, he has the opportunity.
Now, Dr. Epelle, in the beginning of your submission, you rightly said he is the INEC Chair nominee because he's yet to be confirmed by the Senate. But you and I know it's, looking at the antecedent of the 10th Senate, that it's an academic exercise. It's almost as good as done. But you also mentioned some of the challenges he might be facing. You talked about the trust deficit Nigeria has with INEC as an institution, and the quality, the type of work you have to do to restore some form of trust in the system by Nigerians. My question to you is, if you could advise Professor Amupitan, what should be his primary and priority focus? Because the elections in Anambra State in November will be the litmus test for him. How would you advise him to approach his job? What should be the top priority for him?
There are three things I'll say to him. Independence, independence, independence. He must be an independent leader if he wants to lead the electoral management body. If you are watching this program, Professor Joe Amupitan, stay away from Aso Rock and stay away from the people that surrounds Aso Rock if you want to succeed. Two, the greatest asset on the surface of the earth is not billions of dollars, is human capital. Develop the people. give them the capacity to work. Be honest and straightforward with everyone that you meet. Let your yea be yea and your no be no. Practice a simple thing that I try to do sometimes. I haven't perfected it. Learn to adopt the principle of responsible no, a responsible no at every point in time. Say no to the things you know you will say no, and say yes to the things you will say yes. Once you establish that credibility and trust, which is required of any leader, once that credibility and trust is established, you have won the hearts of Nigerians. Nigerians are very easygoing people. The little thing impresses Nigerians. Do those little things, you know. Surround yourself with the people that will look you in the eyes and say no to you. Surround yourself. The yes men are killers of leaders. Have the no men, the people that will responsibly, respectfully tell you, sir, this is not the way to go, you know. And your fellow academia, your fellow professors that have been used in the past in the election has acted in a way that many of us are in doubt whether they truly earned their degrees. I would say look for competent people that you can work with, not people that with big titles sometimes entangles, you know. So that would be my take. And ultimately, Professor Joseph, ultimately, have the fear of God. Have the fear of God. Every successful leader succeeded because they fear God Almighty. That would be my take, Benga.
All right. Let's also look at the comments made by oppositions. They've advocated that the president should actually stop nominating the INEC chair. These talks have gone on for as long as we can remember, especially in recent times. 10 years is what we would have this nominated INEC chairman sit on the helms of affairs for the next 10 years. And obviously, should the president win his second term, he will no longer be in power after a period of time while Professor Amupitan will actually continue. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that partisanship, which is the major fear of opposition, is not in any way part of the INEC chairman's portfolio? Because obviously he's expected to be neutral, but there's still fear that he may not be neutral.
And also, to add to what Joe said, Dr. Epelle, do you see a problem in the president nominating the INEC chair? Do you think he needs some constitutional amendment in the future?
Okay, so both of you are asking the same and one question. First of all, INEC chair, going by the Constitution, serves a term limit of 5 years, and then eventually, if the person is reconfirmed, that fellow would then serve for another 5 years terms. So that's what the constitutional provision says.
Dr. Epelle, are you there?
I believe his audio is frozen.
Network challenges.
I mean,
there.
from our discussion so far this morning, it's integrity and independence. That's been the buzzword from our conversation, Doctor. Okay, Dr. Epelle is back.
Go ahead.
Did I miss something?
No,
Okay,
just go on.
so-
Your network glitch
Okay,
there. Go ahead.
so it's a 5 years term, and now it can be renewed for another 5 years. However, like I said, if I were Mahmoud, if you had to go back in time, I think I would have been gone after the first term. One of the things that he had to deal with was going back for the reconfirmation, which allowed him to be the longest serving INEC chair that we have as of today. Now, the constitutionality of the appointment of INEC chair rests on the president. That power is within the president and the presidency to announce a nomination, and then the nominee will go and face the Council of States, and the Council of States will endorse, and then the president will transmit his name to the National Assembly, this time Senate, and the Senate will do the interrogation, and then he will be appointed. Now, the spotlight is on the Senate. Can that provision be changed? Then we will need a constitutional amendment for that provision or clause to be changed. That's the procedure. So going forward, I am an advocate for the presidency to hands off from choosing who becomes the very organization that would be the umpire of an election that will bring a particular president to power. So you cannot be seen as appointing the very person that will sit and decide your fate. And I think that's one error we need to correct in the constitutional clause. It's not, it doesn't show a responsible way of hiring. Now, INEC is like an institution. If you want to hire a CEO of an institution, that CEO must go under the scrutiny of a responsible way of hiring. That means it's advertised, then the candidates are shortlisted, and then a panel will sit, interrogate each and every one of those candidates, and then eventually the winner is then announced. Now, the thing that the National Assembly must do, and I'm going to put an eye on them, and several civil society leaders and organizations will put their eyes on the Senate. And if they want to make history, let them have an open, transparent screening process. Let it be live on television. Let us see who is voting yes or no. Nobody should be intimidated to express their vote. That's why we elected them. Ghana must not exchange hands. You know, the presidency must give free hands to the National Assembly. And I'm looking forward to the National Assembly scrutinizing this gentleman from his moral integrity to his personal integrity to his academic integrity. Look at what is happening today. A minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in a certificate scandal. This is the kind of things that we need to avoid as much as possible. So let him go through public scrutiny. Let not the Senate take the destiny of Nigerians for granted. We don't need a voice vote. We need people expressing their vote in the manner and terms that is expected of a National Assembly. I'm looking forward for them to say, look, we've screened this candidate, we found out this, that, he is not qualified. And then, of course, another person will be nominated. There must not be a rubber stamp National Assembly. It's not everything that President Bola Tinubu wants and says that the National Assembly should carry out. Otherwise, they will be referenced as a stooge of the presidency, and we don't want that. You know, so going forward, this gentleman academically is qualified. In terms of one of the things that I was looking at this morning, because I woke up this morning to do some research on him, one of the things that he doesn't have, apart from all the good things he has, is that he has a low profile in the international community. So that's one area that if he has a strategist, they need to work on so that he will be launched on a global platform. Because what happens in Nigeria pertaining election it happens to the continent and the entire world. So that national and international profile must be heightened up, not just for him to show off, but for him to be known by all and sundry, every Nigerian and Nigerians abroad, and of course the global community. These are some of the facts that we have to deal with. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jake Epelle, for sharing your thoughts with the nominated INEC boss. I will wait to see if the Senate will do the needful, either checkmate, approve, agree, or just, what you've just said. Maybe it will be rubber stamped, as it were. But thanks for your time. We'll find out.
Always a pleasure speaking with you, Dr. Epelle. Thanks for your insights.
Thank you, Benga. Let me say this to Nigerians. I want to let us know that every one of us, the day we were born, the whole world rejoiced while we cried. Let's live our life and a legacy that the day we die, we will rejoice, and Nigerians and the whole world will cry. That's a life of impact. Professor Joe, make a decision from day one that you're going to live a life of legacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. We'll bring to you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central. Coming up next for the second hour, Presidency rejects World Bank's poverty report. And we'll look at this story. Omoyele Sowore to lead protests for Nnamdi Kanu in October. And also, Senate clarifies genocide claim. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Human rights activist and the convener of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, has called for the immediate release of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, announcing a peaceful march to Aso Rock on October 20 to demand justice, describing Kanu's prolonged detention as a stain on Nigeria's democracy. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar backed Sowore's call, condemning the federal government's continued defiance of court orders granting Kanu bail. Atiku described the situation as an open sore on the nation's conscience, insisting that Kanu should either be released immediately or given a fair trial.
However, the presidency has criticized both Sowore and Atiku, accusing them of attempting to politicize an ongoing legal process. Government spokespersons warned that mobilizing public protests while the case remains in court could undermine judicial integrity. The Federal High Court in Abuja recently adjourned Nnamdi Kanu's trial to October the 16th, pending a medical assessment by the Nigerian Medical Association. The court had earlier dismissed a no-case submission, ruling that Kanu must open his defense in the terrorism-related charges brought against him. Join us now for this discussion of Breakfast Central this morning is the convener of Revolution Now movement, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Mr. Sowore, you described Nnamdi Kanu's detention as a stain on Nigeria's democracy. What do you think his continued incarceration says about the rule of law and human rights in Nigeria? And why do you choose to embark on this planned protest for October the 20th?
Well, the detention of Kanu has lasted 10 years. If you disregard the interregnum of when he fled the country after the military invaded his house when he was granted bail, and he was then brought back from Kenya, kidnapped, and another set of trials started. And we all know that one of the tenets of justice is a speedy, fair trial in all cases, but this hasn't happened in Kanu's case because there was no trial going on. It's just theatrics, and we as people who understand and have fought for and had tried our best to sustain human rights in this country, no matter how difficult it is, have a duty to let the country know that this is sad development in our body policy, and we can't continue to pretend that Nnamdi Kanu is undergoing trial. We know this is not trial. This is not prosecution. This is persecution. And that is why we're saying this should immediately be terminated and Nnamdi Kanu be released to rejoin his family. That is our goal. And we have spoken a lot of times about this, that it's just a waste of Nigeria resources, energy, and emotions to keep Nnamdi Kanu detained, spend a lot of money to take him to court to go and seek an adjournment, and all the razzmatazz that's become the shameful outing on the part of the federal government. It's very insensitive, it's inhuman, and it's unfathomable that we continue to pretend that there's nothing wrong with this.
All right. First of all, let's also look at it this way. What do you make of the dismissal from the presidency regarding the planned protests?
Well, you know, the presidency or the security agencies in Nigeria have a default position on protest, knee-jerk reaction. And they won't even look at it at all. They just say, oh, you know, the protest is unnecessary. Don't forget that people who are now in the presidency made a career out of protesting against what they used to call injustice. So they're now the new perpetrators, and we don't. I'm used to them dismissing protests. It's a mental strategy to just make people feel like no protest is necessary to address issues. So there's nothing to it.
Now, Mr. Sowore, you've been, let's talk about Alhaji Atiku's public alignment with your position. It has drawn both praise and skepticism. Do you see this as a genuine movement of political courage when figures across divide stand up for justice? Or do you think the political class only invokes human rights when it suits their agenda? What do you make of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's alignment with your position on this Nnamdi Kanu matter?
Well, when I announced this, I think I made it public that I'm going to set aside my political differences with some people, and I'm reiterating the same. And it should be on record that this is only regarding Nnamdi Kanu's release, the struggle for his release. I have reached out to many people, and I did reach out to Atiku through his aides and said he should come on board. I was pleasantly surprised that it happened very fast, because he's not the only person. In fact, I reached out to southeastern political leaders first, governors of Anambra, of Abia. I reached out to Peter Obi, and none of them have responded until now. And Atiku has done so, even though he was the last person I reached out to on the day he started. I reached out to more people. Senator Abaribe, even though he has not publicly confirmed his intent to join, he has told me that he's on board. I'm going to reach out to more people. In fact, I've also tried to reach out to Goodluck Jonathan, former president of Nigeria, to take a position on this. So I don't think anybody should make this into some political opportunism as they try to present it. I want to believe that Atiku is old enough, is a former vice president of Nigeria. He took this position having convinced himself that it's the right thing to do. But it's natural and expected that there will be pushback against him, that people will call him all kinds of names, just like they did to me. But he's not the first vice president to engage in stuff like that. When Alex Ekweme was alive, he was one of the people they call G34 that took a position against Abacha's regime. And he was vice president. And in those days, some of them took these decisions risking their lives. So there's nothing to worry about. I don't think anybody should take the attacks on him serious. He himself must be clear about this by now, that this kind of very heavy-duty decision will attract all kinds of emotions or attacks, especially from the presidency of Nigeria. The call is on the president to do what is right, not to waste too much time trying to figure out the intention of people who are calling for Nnamdi Kanu's release. I can tell you one thing: if Tinubu were not to be president of Nigeria today, he probably would have latched on Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention.
So why do you think
his release as well?
So why do you think he's not doing that now? Is it because of a political career that he needs to save, or is it because of the forthcoming elections, or do you think he would just rather want to stay away from it completely?
I think it's political. You know, Nnamdi Kanu's detention has very serious regional implications. And for somebody who is seeking re-election, I think it's playing games with Nnamdi Kanu's detention. I have stated this before, that if there were smart people around Tinubu, Nnamdi Kanu should have been released the day he was sworn into office, because Nnamdi Kanu was Buhari's personal prisoner. But somehow, I think, and I've stated this publicly several times, some people in the southeastern horizon, politicians, who convinced him that if he releases Nnamdi Kanu, APC will not win any more election. And then subsequently, having given that room, he just had been under a lot of pressure, especially from some parts of the country, not to release him for political reasons. And I think he might be, carrying out some other things on the ground. Maybe they are trying to pressure him to declare for Tinubu, and he says no, because I don't put it beyond them to give him conditions that are so ridiculous that when he comes out, he will have no legitimacy, authenticity that he took into detention.
Talking about releasing prisoners, just yesterday, the president exercised his prerogative of mercy. He did pardon Herbert Macaulay and released some over 100 prisoners, and that was another missed opportunity. But some will tell you that, look, this is a very Nnamdi Kanu is facing serious charges bordering on terrorism. And the presidency and the government has also said this case is before a competent court of law, that why do you need to protest, that you're undermining judicial integrity. Do you see what you're planning to do on October the 20th as interference in the judicial process?
No, I'm actually trying to help the judiciary to decongest their court files with unnecessary cases, irregular cases, burdensome cases, so that they can focus on real cases. But I don't want to forget the question you first asked, which is this pardon that was extended to a lot of people. If you look at the list of pardoned persons, Herbert Macaulay, I had to Google or had to ask Grok on Twitter yesterday, what was Herbert Macaulay's offense? It was an offense that he committed in 1936 or so, accused of fraud by the colonial masters who are no longer here with us. So if you can go that far to pardon somebody, or Nnamdi Azikiwe, you pardon a cocaine pusher who is on life sentence, you pardon an alleged coup plotter, Vasa, those are grievous offenses as well. You pardon a former House of Rep member who was accused of collecting on tape. So you can as well just discontinue Nnamdi Kanu's trial immediately. I'm not seeking for pardon for Nnamdi Kanu. There's nothing to pardon here. We are asking for them to discontinue this sham trial, or commence, some very realistic dialogue, and bring about national healing and national cohesion, because nobody has forgotten that this is a sensitive matter, that the people of the Southeast always feel that whenever they come to Nigeria to fight for justice, they are coming with deficit, whereas other Nigerians have better advantage. If you are in dialogue with bandits and you allow them to bring their guns and their ammunition to your dialogue and you take selfies with them, if you grant amnesty to terrorists and reintegrate them into the Nigerian army, if you give pipeline contracts to Niger Delta militants, there's nothing wrong with letting Nnamdi Kanu rejoin his family. That's the position. So to now, and I think you should have listened to even Femi Falana yesterday. He was in so a clip of him 3 days ago where he's not. I am of the opinion that it should be settled out of court. Are you getting my point? So, point is, there is nothing to this trial. There's I'm helping the courts. You know, I go to courts regularly, and even though I'm not a lawyer, I can tell you when a case is frivolous. Anytime you find a case that there's a struggle to prosecute, just let's drop the ego and end the shame. That's my call.
All right. I'd like us to go on a break, and I'd like you to please stay with us. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, there are a few aspects we need to touch on. Recently, we saw you again with the police officers, and we heard a lot that they said, how they used to follow the politicians to go get money, and now they're struggling, they cannot pay again. You're involved in all of these works. We want to see what's involved in it, but stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. We have with us the convener of Revolution Now movement, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, who's still here with us, joining us via video conferencing. But before the break, I talked about, we're discussing about Nnamdi Kanu as well, but we want to focus on the police officers, retired police officers, of which you have been part of. And PENCOM has come to the fore again. Permit me to just divert a bit and just talk about PENCOM. We did see in the footage with the former police officers, particularly I did see the retired police officer, CSP Raphael, who said that officials are benefiting from the pension scheme while frontline officers are suffering and their demands are not met. Can you also tell us what's really going on with the police officers? The first time they embarked on a protest, they did meet with the police, and they were told that their grievances will be attended to. And now it seems like there's a second leg, there's a return. What's going on with that?
Well, it was because their grievances were not attended to. Their demand was simple. These retired police officers, and I dare say serving police officers too, they should not bury their head in the sand like ostriches. They want to exit from what is known as a contributory pension scheme, which I refer to as the contributory Ponzi scheme, where all their monies are kept and managed by PENCOM. The PENCOM officials are earning fast salaries, allowances, and the retired police officers are dying in droves. So I joined them in that protest, I think, in July. In fact, my leading them to the office of the Inspector General of the Force Headquarters got me eventually charged with a new crime of mutiny. They said I was trying to lead police officers into mutiny against the federal government and amongst other bogus charges. So what you need to know, or what the public needs to know, is that this CPS system is so terrible that the IGP and the AIGs and the DIGs are not part of it. So if it is so good, why are they not on the CPS? So they are demanding for their own pension board so that they can be paid the same pension soldiers are paid when they retire. I mean, gratuity and pension that are paid. Well, how do you even look at this and not want to cry for Nigeria when frontline officers who risk their life for 35 years take home, as their own gratuity, maximum 2.4 million naira. A retired commissioner of police is taking home 57,000 naira a month after you're retired, after you spent 37 years serving Nigeria. Yes, a lot of people might have issues with what the police has become, but you can start to understand the root of your problems when you look at how they're remunerated and how they're treated. after they retire. When serving police officers see retired police officers, they convince themselves that they must get their pension and gratuity before they retire. And that's part of where the corruption, extortion, and indiscipline comes from within the police force. And it's reached a level that you can't even say you have a police force in this country. But that's a conversation for another day. But that is precisely why they are fighting. And because they were lied to, and I wonder, when we went to the force headquarters in July, I said, this IGP that I told you has retired and still illegally occupying his office, he's lying to you. They had a meeting with the IGP. The IGP, at that time, also wanted me to join the meeting. I said, I'm not attending a meeting with you because, one, I don't trust you. Secondly, I don't want to legitimize your office that I know no longer exists. I mean, your position, I know, because he's also a retired police officer. And for you to be IGP, you must be a serving police officer. If you're retired, you can't be IGP. So I never attended the meeting. But I did warn some of them that went to those meetings, and those who were attending all the side meetings with PENCON, that they're just looking for ways to infiltrate and weaken your movements to restore dignity to your pension system. Some of them have made a mistake, but I'm glad that a lot of them are back on the front lines. They brought their wives, and they're going to have a major protest. More will be coming if they don't get attended to. So we're in touch with them. We're happy to support them. And anybody who is retired in this country who wants to organize, I always extend my hands of fellowship to them.
Now, Mr. Sowore, you're one who's had several run-ins with the Nigerian police and law enforcement agencies in Nigeria. You've been detained multiple times yourself for leading protests, and you just shared your experience with us in, fighting for the rights of retired policemen, and you ended up being charged for mutiny. From your experience, which spans decades, what does Nnamdi Kanu's case reveal about how the Nigerian government weaponizes the justice system against voices of opposition or agitation?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I've been through this a lot myself. So there's nobody in a better position to understand how Nigeria weaponizes the justice system against its people, or people they consider to be troublemakers, or people they consider to challenge certain sacred notion about Nigeria. The one that Kanu has committed in the eyes of the Nigerian government or the system is a sin against what the Christians call the Holy Spirit. It's unforgivable. To challenge Nigeria's unity is just something they don't want to hear. And the least are united whenever this is happening. And, but the question you ask yourself is that we went to civil war, fought against the Biafrans, and killed over 4 million people. We end the war and say nobody was defeated, continue to be trampled upon. And if you don't like the Igbos, why are you against them living? That's the question I ask, especially from those people from other parts of the country who always say, oh, you can't trust these people, we don't like them, they fought against us. If you don't like them, why are you forcing yourself on them? So they are saying, look, if we are going to remain in this country known as Nigeria, created by the British colonialists or British corporations, the Niger Delta Company in 1900, we want to have our dignity respected. We want to have our rights respected. We want to govern ourselves. There's no crime in that. But if you say they must stay, you must respect their rights. And I know your question is about weaponization of the justice system. I want to say that this one is historical. It's because in 1970 we ended a war physically, but the war did not end mentally. So everybody that's in government goes to read what I describe as a secret file about the Biafra war. And they continue the war from, it doesn't matter who the president of Nigeria is, it's a perpetual war that they have fought and fought And they use the justice system, they use the civil service, they use the economic system, they use whatever is possible, to demolish their houses, their businesses. There's always a conspiracy there. And it doesn't matter how you say it, because some people will say, no, you're trying to, it's not division. We're just addressing what we know to be true about how Nigeria weaponizes the justice system against people, but particularly people of the southeastern region because of the Biafran war.
All right. Well, October 16 is just around the corner. I'm sure we will be following proceedings.
October 20.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
It's around the corner. I'm sure we'll be
October 16, you're right, is his next trial.
His next trial is
and
October 16.
They can end all this charade on that day by withdrawing their, they can file a null, what we call, they can file a null prosecutor, which is end of prosecution.
And if they don't,
and if they do that, we don't have to march on the villa on the 20th. Okay. We'll go and do NSAS memorial.
Anyway, we'll follow through.
Our hands are full all the time.
All the time. I wonder how you do it. But then again,
thank you so much for your time and insight.
To follow through as well. Thanks for your time. Thank you. All right, let's move away from the story concerning Nnamdi Kanu to another one. And this time it's got to do with one of the stories we asked Mr. Omoyele Sowore on. It's got to do with the group of retired Nigerian police officers who earlier barricaded the main entrance of the National Assembly complex in Abuja yesterday. Now, they disrupted access to several offices, especially for a longer period of time. Now, many of the protesting retirees actually arrived at the scene as early as 7 a.m., demanding that the National Assembly expedite action through legislation to remove them from the contributory pension scheme, which they say has denied them their entitlements. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, was there live, and he has this to say.
Visibly agitated but united under one demand, an exit from the contributory pension scheme. The retired protesting police officers say they have come from different parts of the country to make their demands known. By 7 a.m., the main gate of the National Assembly was already barricaded by the aggrieved retirees, who say that they have been shortchanged for years under the current contributory pension scheme.
Whatever reform they have, no, we don't need it. If our AIG, our DIG, IT, they've exited themselves. And he asked us previously, where are we exiting? Excuse me, we want to exit to where he has exited to. And the father will lead his children. We go to battlefield and abandon the children, and he will go away and say the children should defend themselves. What will be the fate of those children?
As a matter of urgency, to exit the police from this PENCOP. If other sister agency can be removed, can be exempted from this PENCOP, what's happened that police cannot be exempted from this PENCOP? What kind of discrimination is that? This is pure injustice.
As the protests intensified, staff and visitors were forced to seek an alternate route. Retirees, however, insist that they won't back down until the National Assembly effectively remove them from the scheme.
We are saying no. We say total exit we stand for. Nothing more than that.
After several hours of protest, members of the Senate Committee on Police Affairs met with the demonstrators, appealing for calm with assurances that their concerns will be addressed soon.
We have a very fruitful discussion with him, and they have promised us that within the next few days, that action will be completed on the bill. It will be forwarded to the president for his assent.
After almost 9 hours of protest, the retirees dispersed peacefully, but warned that lawmakers will have till the end of October to show visible sign of action. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Now, the latest Nigeria development update by the World Bank reveals that 139 million Nigerians, I would like to take that figure again, 139 139 million Nigerians, about 62% of the population, still live in poverty, despite President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms. The report released in October 2025 notes that while GDP growth rose to 3.4% and government revenue improved following subsidy removal and exchange rate unification, however, high food inflation at 40% and unemployment at nearly 35% continue to strain households. The World Bank estimated poverty using a $3.65 daily threshold, identified rural poverty at 75.5% and urban poverty at 31%, indicating minimal improvement in living standards.
However, the presidency has dismissed the figures as unrealistic and disconnected from Nigeria's economic realities. Presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga pointed to rise in foreign reserves, which is $40 billion now, and cash transfer programs targeting 15 million vulnerable households as evidence of progress under the renewed hope agenda. Well, joining us now is economist and former head of research at Financial Derivatives Co. We do have Clement Igbanugo. Thank you so much for being here. Permit me to just go straight into the questions and seeking your answers very quickly on this one. What's your take? So it seems like there are different languages being spoken here. The first language is the language of the Nigerian federal government to the World Bank, which is, we need some money. And then they get the money. And the lender now says, I gave you the money. However, I feel that your people are going through a lot and your, reforms are, working, but it's not getting to the people. And now the federal government says,
I'm giving you statistics.
Like a different language completely from what the World Bank is saying. We're just trying to make this very simple for our viewers. As an economist, please help us break down the process of what the World Bank has said and what the Nigerian government is now saying, because they borrowed from the World Bank. The World Bank is now telling you it's not working. How come they're saying, no, you can't tell us that it's not working? Is there a disconnect somewhere? Can you shed more light on that?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to our viewers. The World Bank report is not a surprise because myself estimated about 145 million poor people, and I had a similar conversation with some persons in government some 2-3 weeks ago. And we were arguing, and they were saying, no, poverty has come down and all of that. I said, no, poverty had actually worsened. So I think the World Bank is quite conservative, and it will be foolhardy to fault the World Bank on their computation of the new level of poverty. It will interest you to know that poverty has been on the rise for a decade now. In fact, since 2015, we've not had a reprise in poverty has been increasing up till this time. And it wasn't in recent time following the reforms, which the World Bank has praised as being bold. And yes, it could be said to be bold, but the implementation was anti-people. And if you have anti-people implementation in your reforms, certainly poverty is going to worsen, because poverty is about capabilities. And so if people do not have the capability to have access to livability, the more people become poorer, all right? And so if we look at the number, yes, the number given by the World Bank, I agree with that number. And I can tell you that most economists will agree with that number. 2, the processes that World Bank used, I wonder how some people are faulted. Let me tell you, the World Bank and IMF have one of the best economic models anywhere in the world. All right. And what the World Bank uses actually for poverty computation, especially for developing countries, is consumption-based approach. Not even income-based approach. It's consumption-based. So they use a survey conducted by the country, in this case, Nigeria. to compute the poverty in the survey year and then adjust it with changes in inflation, consumption, and population trend going forward. And so I can tell you, I can break it down for you here, that by any means you want to look at the tendencies, poverty had worsened in Nigeria and not improved.
Now, Mr. Igbanugo, the government argues that the World Bank's poverty figures are unrealistic. And you've rightly said that, you've said that the World Bank uses very good methodology. But let's talk about food inflation. With food inflation at 40% and unemployment close to 35%, even as reforms are meant to stabilize the economy, do you think the government underestimated the short-term social cost of its policies? Did they really think it through?
The government did not underestimate the short-term social cost. The government did not estimate it at all.
They didn't factor it
in the implementation radar. The government did not think of the consequences of policy actions when those policy actions were announced. Everything we are saying today is an afterthought, and that is why we are in crisis. And let me, before I go to the food inflation, if government is saying that poverty would have, because in their own estimation, they say poverty had decreased, and they don't have a number. But let me give you some analogy. In 2022, before the reform, government said they spent $10 billion on subsidy. Today, $10 billion is equivalent of 15 trillion. So if government said there is no more subsidy, it simply means in literal terms that you have taken 15 trillion from household, from individuals. The people you took that 15 trillion from shouldn't be richer, they should be poorer. That is first layer of evaluation of what subsidy removal means, because subsidy removal is a reverse taxes. So when you remove subsidy, you impose tax on the people. So you take 15 trillion away from the people. That is number one. Now, if you also look at it from the point of view of inflation, inflation is tax without legislation. That's Friedman, not me. Is tax without legislation. And in 2023, inflation was around 28%. 2024, it was about 33%. And currently is about 20%, the least we've had. Let's take this analogy. If someone earns 100,000 at the beginning of 2023, and that 100,000 could afford 100 tubers of yam. If you have inflation of 28% in 2023, it means that by the end of 2023, the person can only afford about 72 tubers of yam. Now, by the end of 2024, with 33% inflation, the person can only afford about 48 tubers of yam. And in 2025, the person can only afford about 38 tubers of yam, which is 100,000 naira. Will that person be richer or poorer? If I take PMS as a product, let's assume that's the only product that the individual or consumer or representative household in the economy has access to. And in 2022, his 100,000 naira can afford about 500 liters of petrol at 200 naira per liter. Today, he can only afford about 125 liters of petrol. So I do not understand whichever dimension you go, let's even leave model, let's leave calculations. Whichever dimension you're going to look at this, people are to be poorer by those policies. And the only way they will not be poorer is if you provide capabilities to cushion that effect and give them more access to healthcare, education, and food. And these things are nowhere. And so by all examinations, people are poorer by the reform that has been undertaken so far.
Mr. Igbanugo, I want to thank you so much for taking time out to highlight those breaking down that data. But let me wear the hat of the federal government in this instance. I mean, I'm a journalist. We're neutral. We don't dabble in all of that. Our job is to ask questions and fact check and get the research and the answers. But permit me to just divert and put on the shoes of someone within the federal government. You did say one way that, of course, we can curb this inflation and so on is to provide, the education, the food, and so on. So as a government, let's look at it. I provided TED Fund. There's TED Fund. Students can get loans.
No fund.
Pay for schools and so on and so forth. That's one. Two, I'm going to give 297 billion naira in cash transfers to 15 million households, to significantly impact poverty now that inflation is going high. So when I throw, the president in his speech said he was giving, was it 3 billion or 300 billion? Sorry, my head is not at the right place now to remember the figures.
300 billion.
Yeah, 300 billion to 8 million Nigerians and so on. And said they were collecting it in trenches. Some have collected 25,000 naira. Some have collected once, some have collected twice. I don't know if you've seen anybody that's collected. We are still looking for the person who collected. We've asked and asked. We've told people to even comment on this show. Go on YouTube, anywhere, tell us I am a beneficiary so that we can interview you and ask you how you got it. But then again, like I said, I'm wearing the federal government's shoes here. So I provided cash transfers. I've done this through cash transfer programs. I've done this by helping education and so on and so forth. So how come you're still telling me as an economist, even though I feel you broke it down properly, that there's still inflation? I've been able to cushion the effects now.
Or you're disputing the 139 million poor Nigerian figures?
Okay, let's. It's a good example you cited, especially around what governments say they have done. Maybe later we'll talk about how some other countries that remove subsidy dealt with the issue of subsidy in order to make sure that you don't have household crisis. But let's come back to this. When government say that, because I heard you say government said they spent 290-something billion naira on 15 million households, you say. First of all, how much is 297 billion naira, which I don't even know, like you said. I have very poor people around me, and I don't know anybody who has had access to such fund. Sorry. Who has evidence of receiving such fund. But let's assume that that fund actually went to household. If 15 million household gets share 297 million, it makes one household be getting roughly 20,000 naira a year.
Yes, 19,000 plus. Yes, go on.
In Nigeria, there are 5 people per household. I'm giving you statistics. 5 people per household. If 5 people divide it 20, that is 4. So you are giving each 4,000 naira per person in a year to cushion effect of subsidy removal and inflation. So somebody lost about 70% of his purchasing power, and you're giving him 4,000 naira. In today's Nigeria, what 4,000 naira buy? Maybe 2 packs of spaghetti or 3. And so when government they are giving us some of these numbers, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make economic sense because it's less than 0.1% of GDP. So it doesn't change anything. Even if anybody receives it, it doesn't change anything. When you talk about the student loan, it's very interesting. But the question is how many people receive this and what is the percentage of these people? Because you're talking about vulnerable people. When you just scrape the surface, and say, oh, we have done this, we have done that, it doesn't go anywhere. And that is why most countries that are embarking on policy reform make sure that they do not distort prices. Because when you distort prices, you erode people's purchasing power, you make them poorer, and they may not recover in years. That is it. But the day that Mr. President announced subsidy is removed, it was just, there was no committee, there was no engagement, nobody has studied the subsidy dynamics. It was his first day in office and it took effect. And for the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this issue will keep rolling on. And that's not just the problem. The problem is even the quality of spending. When government has, when all this money, because when you are hearing that FAC has doubled, why FAC is doubling is because household money has been taken from them and has been given to government, either in form of subsidy or in form of exchange rates. devaluation. It is household money that government has taken. This money government has taken, are they plowing it back to the spending stream? No. So the household are not getting this money back. And what has government done to provide health care? The statistics is still staggering that there are more Nigerians today that cannot have access to health care than in 2015. What has government done to guarantee food security? The statistics is saying that in 2015, 90 million Nigerians were moderately and severely food insecure. Today, there are 160 million. So that number has almost doubled. And so if you look at all the pillars of livability, you discover that things are not getting better. There are more students, children that are out of school today because their parents cannot afford to keep them in school. And then you keep hearing of free education and all of that. If it is said that a pipe-borne water has been provided for a community, and that community is still going to fetch a muddy water, is either that pipe-borne water is not is in a place they cannot access, or there is no pipe-borne water. So something is really wrong in the policy scheme. Whatever government is saying that they are providing, the impact is not felt, and that means it's not there. I want you to understand me. There were reforms. These reforms, some of them have very interesting and a good outcome. You have macro stability because of FX reform and all of that. That's very good. So that's very good for business people, like the big guys, not for the small and medium scale businesses that are even having a tougher time today than they had in 2022. But the thing is this, the macro data growth of 4%, the market woman doesn't know about it. And let me tell you, if the economy is good today, if you ask a market woman, he will tell you. If you want to know how the economy is faring, just ask a market woman. Because the market woman is the mirror, in fact, is a perfect reflection of economic signals. And so when government is having a narrative different from the narrative that every other Nigerian is aware of, then it's something to worry about. But let me ask, if government celebrated World Bank's report saying that government has taken bold steps and that investor confidence is improving, why is government faulting the report that is saying that more people are poor?
Because this has negative connotations.
Yeah.
Now, let's, just before we begin to wrap up, from our conversation today, where you said that the government failed to plan for the day after taking those bold reform steps. It was almost like a knee-jerk reaction. And you also said there's something wrong in the policy scheme of the government. Now, looking ahead, what concrete steps, because you did also mention the positives that the government is doing, but I want to know what concrete steps or policy adjustments you would recommend to ensure that future reforms translate into real improvements in living standards of ordinary Nigerians, not just better macroeconomic indicators. Like you said, it's good for the big boys, but if you ask the market woman, what does a 4% GDP growth mean to her? Absolutely nothing. So is there still time to adjust and change things a bit? And what will be done so that ordinary Nigerians like Joe and I, and maybe you, can also feel the positive effect?
That's very good. Thank you very much. That would be very interesting, and maybe some other times we'll have good time to have a kind of a good deep dive into what Nigeria needs to do. But the fundamental is this. I think we need to change, one, our conceptualization of governance. You know, both government and a lot of persons within government corridor advising government believe that going markets, adopting market economy means no subsidy, less welfare. That is bad economics. Let me be very frank. There is no economy in the world, because sometimes when I hear government talk about we remove subsidy on electricity, we remove on this and that and that and that, and that is the definition of going market. I wonder, because in 2023, global energy subsidy was about $1 trillion. IEA estimate, not any other person, about $1 trillion energy subsidy. European government as a European Union as a bloc, their expenditure on general subsidy was about $360 billion in 2023. That's about 4% of their GDP. Even the UK, as developed as UK is, spent about $60 billion in 2024 on subsidy. In the US, there is subsidy. In Canada, there is subsidy. These are capitalist economies. So that idea, let me tell you, I have a friend that lives in the US, and he pays about $25 per month for all utilities, electricity, cooking gas, heating gas, Wi-Fi, and everything, water, 25. And there are people within certain income level that will be given houses in those places. So the idea that subsidy is bad economists. Whoever is propagating that idea should know, first of all, that it is bad economics. It's about target and strategy. Number two, government need to shift, because sometimes we are talking about these economies, but the problem is more of political. Government must intentionally shift from agent-centric governance to people-centric governance. If you are not people-centric, poverty, we cannot make gains in poverty reduction, because before ever you come up with any policy, you must have people in mind. There are people that did forex exchange liberalization in other countries, in Poland, in Israel, and I can give you countries and time. But they didn't have the crisis we had because they had people in mind. We didn't have people in mind. Indonesia has been doing subsidy and removal since 2025. It wasn't one-off. India removes subsidy, but you know what they do? They say, okay, the price will now be market-based. So if a liter of petrol is 1,000, market price, everybody should pay 1,000. But they mark the people who are poor. And if the poor buys the petrol for 1,000, they will give you the subsidy equivalent in your bank account. So if the subsidy equivalent is 500 naira, as you are getting home, you are seeing 500 naira in your bank account. So we must prioritize people. Everything you hear about government talk about is, oh, revenue, oh, tax this, oh, get more money. And government, and do you know that government is getting more money and borrowing more and having more fiscal deficit? Because fiscal deficit in 2024 to federal government alone was 15 trillion naira. With the doubling of earning and all of it, it's only the state government that is even having fiscal surplus. The federal government is down 15 trillion in one fiscal year. So fiscal rationalization proper, but for me, two things takeaway I want us to take here, maybe later we'll talk about other issues, is government must be people-centered. If you are not people-centered, you are going to have more population. And when we are talking about poverty, I want to make it more graphic. 139 million poor Nigerians means that 1 in every 5 poor people in the world is a Nigerian or lives in Nigeria. But remember that in terms of population, it is 1 to every 50 people in the world that is a Nigerian. But in terms of poverty, it is 1 to 5. So in poverty, Nigeria is 10 times higher in poverty ratio compared to the global population. And that is something that should worry everybody. But you cannot solve a problem you do not believe that it exists. Every time you talk about poverty, government say, no, there's no poverty, we are sharing money, we are sharing rights, people are okay. So you cannot solve that problem until you come to the drawing table and accept that there is a problem, and then have a register of people who have that problem. Today, we don't know what the social register is. We don't know the people that their names are in that social register. Government have refused to even provide it to any credible institution in this country to examine. Remember when we had about 3 billion naira that was spent in reviewing the social register. we saw names like names of caterers and names of fashion designers as people who had the contract to review the register. So as of today, we don't even know what that register is. So we need to know the register, we need to understand the problem and mainstream poverty reduction strategy into every program of government. At that point, we will now have conversation on the table.
Thank you so much. The argument of the government is that those in the register, you have to protect their dignity, so they choose to be anonymous. Yeah.
Anyway.
And that is why neither you or I know anybody who ever received those transfers. So at least people should be able to give testimony that, okay, I got it. How will you give to 15 million household? 15 times 5 is 75. 75 million Nigerians receive money and nobody knows about it. So who are they?
Thank you so much. Economist and former head of research at Financial Derivatives Co. Izuchukwu Clement Igbanugo. Thanks for your time. Thanks for breaking it down the simplest form. Responses online shows that your breakdown has seemed to be beneficial to all our viewers. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll come back here on Breakfast Central with the breakfast headlines coming up next. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aboroa. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday granted presidential pardon to Herbert Macaulay and former FCT Minister, retired Major General Maman Vatsa. While Vatsa was sentenced to death over treason charge in 1986, Macaulay was twice convicted by the colonial authorities in Lagos. In 1913, while in private practice as a surveyor, he was tried for misappropriating funds from an estate he administered and sentenced to prison. Tinubu also granted a posthumous pardon to Dr. Nnamdi Kanu of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. The president also pardoned 4 former convicts, including former House of Representatives member Faruk Anastasia Daniel Nwabia, Barrister Hussein Umar, and Ayla Alanamu. They were pardoned to enable them to integrate into society, having demonstrated sufficient remorse. President Bola Tinubu has mourned the death of veteran broadcaster and former Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Dr. Christopher Kolade, who died on Wednesday at the age of 92. In a statement, the president described Kolade as amongst the finest of men and a custodian of Nigeria's corporate and intellectual heritage. He praised Kolade's lifelong commitment to integrity, transparency, and national service, citing his role as Director General of the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation and his academic influence at the Lagos Business School. Tinubu also noted Kolade's humanitarian work, especially through the Christopher Kolade Foundation in support of sickle cell patients. He expressed deep sadness, but urged Nigerians to celebrate Kolade's exemplary life and legacy of service to the nation and humanity. Lagos High Court Special Offences Division has admitted more documents as exhibits in the $4.5 billion fraud trial of former central bank governor Godwin Emefiele. Justice Rahman Oshodi overruled defense objections and allowed a bundle of documents extracted from the phone of John Adetola Emefiele's executive assistant into evidence. The court also ordered a trial within trial to determine if a statement made by co-defendant Henry Omoyele was given voluntarily. Prosecution witness Alvin Guruman testified that Emefiele allegedly received $600,000 through proxies with a CBN contractor, admitting to paying kickbacks to CBN management to secure contract payments. The defense alleged the admissibility of some documents, but the prosecution argued They were original public documents from the EFCC investigation. A trial is adjourned to December the 2nd and 3rd, 2025 for continuation and the trial within trial. The Nigerian Senate has moved to address growing international narratives alleging widespread persecution and genocide against Christians in the country. Lawmakers debated a motion on the urgent need to correct what they described as misleading claims capable of inflaming religious tensions and misrepresenting Nigeria's security situation before the global community. 12 suspected armed robbers connected to the brutal killing of Arise News journalist Somto Chukwumaduagu and a security guard Barnabas Danlami have been apprehended by operatives of the Federal Capital Territory Police Command. The victims were attacked in the early hours of September the 29th, 2025 at Unique Apartment, Gishiri Village, Katampe District. The incident shocked Abuja residents and heightened concerns about growing insecurity in the nation's capital. According to a police situation report, the arrests were the outcome of an intensive manhunt ordered by the FCT Commissioner of Police and executed by the Scorpion Squad led by ACP Victor Godfrey. The Kogi State House of Assembly has begun a probe into the alleged illegal sale of community lands in Kogi Cotton Karfe local government area, particularly around the Chikara community near the boundary with the Federal Capital Territory. The decision, I beg your pardon, followed a motion of urgent public importance raised during plenary by the member representing the constituency, Idris Maikudi. The lawmaker alleged that some traditional rulers had sold large portions of land without government approval, which was earmarked for the establishment of higher institutions and other public projects. He further expressed concern that some of the buyers were individuals with questionable backgrounds, raising serious security concerns in the area.
Some of them that gives out this land, if they are aware that this person is a criminal, informant, kidnappers, I don't think they will sell land for them. And that is why I came up that they should be advised. Because any stranger that comes to your land, you don't know his mission. Some of them will just come and monitor the area and know what is going on in the area. They will settle down. Before you know, they will start striking in the night. And that's why I advise you should stop selling land for strangers. And if you are giving land for any strangers, let the government know, so that if anything happens, you will not be held responsible. Because that area is meant for institution, high institution. See, Kogi local government don't have high institution. So that place is a proposed area for high institution. The School of Nursing and other.
Now, on the international scene, the Gambia is gearing up for its next presidential election set for December the 5th. 2026, President Adama Barrow caught many off guard when he said he will run for a third term, which is allowed under the current constitution. The main opposition party has put forward veteran politician Usainu Darbo, but Barrow still looks like the favorite. The Independent Electoral Commission says it's committed to a free and fair, transparent process and reminded parties to get properly registered. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aborowa. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back. Breakfast Central it is, and we have Wade Hime, who is here with us, and he is now, let's mention it very clearly, the Chief Coordinating Officer, CCO, Sustainable Stories Africa. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, Joe. Congratulations on your new hat.
Yeah, it's wearing a new hat now. Chief Coordinating Officer.
Yes, more like any work.
What do you mean by any work? You coordinate
everything.
Oh, okay. Alpha, what are you doing?
Yeah, any work.
But you have to be careful, because he's now giving a happy customer service week from the police. Anything for the boys.
So it's still any work. So you know that to coordinate things means that you need to be on top of every single
bird's eye view, yeah,
to make sure that things work well and they continually work well. Especially when you're looking at the potentials and the possibilities of the things that can happen in a particular space. So that's why I said, so when they call you chief coordinating officer, just take it as any work.
Exactly. I like that.
Interesting.
I like that.
Let's get straight to the papers. We'll start off with the Punch newspapers. The headline there is about the biggest story that broke yesterday. The appointment of a new INEC Chair, Professor Amupitan. Amupitan faces tough test as new INEC Chair. The rider says opposition warns against partisanship, demand urgent reforms. Tinubu APC defend appointment, urge fairness and credibility. We also have at the top of the Punch newspaper, National Assembly probes NNPCL over 18 billion naira refineries. $1 billion. Wow, that's a huge mistake. Over 18 billion refinery spending, and the bad news is those refineries aren't working as we speak. Tinubu declares 959 for national honors for this year. We're hoping Joe and I and maybe Olive would make it to that list for service to Nigeria, national consciousness, and our contribution. I don't think the list have been.
That's for national honors?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Federal government moves to audit varsities over TAT fund grants. Sometimes they release money to those universities. We don't see what they do with it. And there's also one here, interesting. Tinubu pardons Herbert Macaulay, Vatsa, Farouk Lawan, 172 others. And people have said, why didn't he go as far back as Jaja of Opobo and Queen Amina of Zaria? Those Nigerians on social media, they're not really very nice, and they say all sorts of things.
Well, it's his prerogative, and he has the power to do
that.
So.
Okay. Police back down on tinted glass enforcement. Okay. Some good news there. And happy, I guess it's part of their happy.
I know why you're happy.
Their customer week. Because the Nigerian police, this is in tune with customer service.
I was listening to a platform today, and they say the tinted glasses law is a law. It was not an act of parliament. It was a decree that was signed in 1991 by the then military administration. So we need to also get that right. And these are some of the things that we always talk about when we say military decrees remain. So for instance, the decree on coup plotting that was signed in 1976 is still in existence. It's still part of the law because it hasn't been repealed. I think Decree 2 that had to do with journalists and all that has been repealed, Decree 2 and 4. And it took a lot for that to be done. So these are things I think the National Assembly needs to look at and then say, okay, all these decrees and edicts and for state assemblies and edicts that were passed during military rule, how do we now look at them and converge and say, okay, let's bring out proper laws that would help Nigerians better understand how to go about it. Because it was just a decree, and I remember when that happened in 1991, it was just that, people, their criminal activities, people just use tinted police, what's it called? But there's also a process for it, meaning that you have to go and get permits from the Nigerian police. So, but let's all be clear about these things, and let's the National Assembly look at a number of all those decrees and edicts for the states, so that we can now say, okay, which ones are still relevant, and pass the necessary acts that would govern the states and the country from that perspective, not just...
And also bring us up to speed with
exactly,
global best practices. This is 2025.
Exactly.
Yes, still on the front page, just two more stories before we move on. Policeman forgets cap in Ogun student's car after extortion. That's what you call cap in hand. Acting customer service week.
But that policeman could face
after extortion
room trial.
Was the extortion too good that he said, wow?
No, you have to leave a souvenir is part of customer service week. So the cap after extortion was souvenir.
Cap in hand.
Cap in hand.
cap in hand. Cap in hand.
And finally, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Tinubu Oshumon as a giant in broadcasting, Dr. Christopher Kolade died at the ripe age of 92. I wonder, I think that thing that they say ripe age is in Nigerian lexicon only. I mean, nobody wants...
There's no ripe age.
There's no ripe age.
There's no ripe age.
You're losing someone that's...
The good book says 3 scores and a half.
That's 70.
Yeah, 70 or 80.
So once you have reached 70, that age is ripe. So
okay.
In that context, I would...
Do we pick a story here before we move? Let's talk about the INEC chairman. What do you make of Professor Amupitan as the new INEC chair, subject to confirmation by the National Assembly?
I was trying to... I read through the press release by the office of the presidency. And yes, fantastic. He's written books on governance, so he should understand how governance should play. He's a lawyer who understands the law. His specialty areas of specialty are governance and commercial law and business law and so on and so forth. So when you consider all that as a lawyer, at least you should also understand how rules and regulations come to be and have to work. So that for me, yes, makes good sense. But the other question, the other thing I always ask is, must you be a professor to be the INEC chairman? Because when I think about it, all the INEC, I don't know what the Constitution says, so I'll have to find out, but all the INEC chairmen from Professor Nwosu right down to now, they don't seem to have shown us that level of ethical value, maybe aside from Professor Nwosu, of ethical value that the academia brings to play. And I hope this will be a change.
Why do you always choose from the academia? Are they the only ones qualified to be INEC chairpersons?
Well,
why not use former electoral commissioners, for example? You look at the CV of the interim INEC chair, Madam May. It's fantastic. She's more than qualified to be.
She's worked there, but I don't know why we feel that once you put a professor behind the desk, it means that is value unpersonified. You get? We've seen the decay in the academic or in the academia over time. ASU strike, stories of harassment and so on and so forth. But that's just the story of Nigeria. So at the end of the day, what I think for me, I don't know him personally, but what I think is he should ensure that the rules and regulations as they are now in the INEC laws, or the laws that govern INEC, are being used and being shown to be used transparently, meaning that no partisanship, beavers, if it's beavers, then let's know what we're doing.
From the beginning, from the get-go.
From the onset, how does it work? And then another area I think he really needs to work on, and he needs to work on it like yesterday, is the ability of Nigerian voters to be able to get their accreditation. Are you with me? Without having to get punished to become eligible to go and vote. And what do I mean by that? Your voter's ID, do I need to have a voter's card for me to go to the voting station? I don't think so in today's technology world. I have an NIN ID.
As long as they can verify who you are.
Verification is very important, and those are the things for me, the steps it should start taking immediately so that more people can easily register. You can capture their information. These days, you don't need to go anywhere. You just need to have a passport picture that is the right size, and then you load it up, and all your details are there. And maybe the only thing that you probably need to do is now go to the center and then do your fingerprints and your facial recognition. So those are the immediate parts that need to be done so that you can make electioning as simple as possible. Then secondly, on my own part and my own thinking is we should curb this idea of election just holding for one day. We should have a window where people who have to go to work will go and vote and have a day where they can go and
it's
vote.
not a public holiday in Ghana.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, and so that window.
And then what about
helps
one day, having all elections just in one day?
And yeah, I was going to get there. Having all the elections in one day. So if I want to go and do my early voting, for instance, if we're talking about people in diaspora who want to vote, how do they wait for the day of the election for them to go queue somewhere, or they can vote? And with technology coming in, verification is not a big deal anymore. People verify us with BVN, NIN, you just name it. So that way, what then happens is that you are able to ensure that all these things are done. You probably have more people go and vote properly without the fear of intimidation and or whether the political class wants that is a different case, different scenario. But I think for me, those should be the first things. Over the next 6 months, how do you put all those things in play so that Nigerians who have registered, Nigerians who are yet to register and have turned 18, Nigerians who have registered and have moved from one place to the other can vote anywhere in Nigeria, wherever they are at any particular point in time, by just going to an accredited voting center before and on the day of an election, and ensuring that those things are done. What that will do for me is that, one, it will reduce the quagmire of logistics that you have to face for an election day. Mm-hmm. Because what then happens is that, yes, you will have most of people still voting on election day, but you'd have gotten maybe another 25 to 50% or another 25 to 30% of the voting population actually having voted before the election day comes in.
All right. I'd like us to move quickly to the next paper. Very quickly, I'd like us to look at Daily Independent. If we have Daily Independent, let's take that paper next up. Tinubu pardons Macaulay, Farouk, Lawan, Vasta, 172 others. I think there's a lot of eyebrows for Farouk Lawan. Few Nigerians have raised eyebrows to say, what's going on?
Well, he served his sentence.
Yeah, he did. So let's just be honest. That's one politician who actually went through the process as well. Council approves 1% FAC deduction for police trust fund. Does this mean that the police officers will start
customer service week
getting their pencoms like we saw in the protest, and
this is different.
When you approve 1% from FAC, simply means that while the states are also receiving, the police would not, their trust fund will also have.
In the law that brings about the police, what's it called? There's always been a provision for how some of those monies will be contributed. Now, what it then means is, if you take the 1%, it means that government side of the contribution will now be ascertained, and we know where it's coming from. So when monies come into the federation account, you will take the 1%. Are you with me? That relates, because it's monies that belong to all the states, and it goes into the police, trust fund, which is going to help to ensure that that pension fund is the contributions from the government is being deducted, and its own contribution. I don't know whether it's going to meet up to what the expectations are in terms of the pension laws, but at least you are certain that every month.
So this is positive news.
Oh, that's for me it is.
Okay. The rider also says, Joe, earlier we were talking about the national honors. OK's Bill Gates, $959 for
national honor. I don't know if Wade's name is
Bill
there.
Gates, unfortunately, I checked. We didn't make it this year.
You didn't make
try
it
next year. But some prominent names on the list. You have Bayo Onanuga, the presidential aide. He will be given the award of the commander of the Order of the Niger, CON. Ms. Ayobe, officer of the Order of the Niger. She was instrumental to the June 12th struggle. She is a legal practitioner. Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, CON. Senator Shehu Sani, CON. He was also part of the June 12th struggle. Governor Basani too was part of the June 12th struggle.
So is it like the June 12th?
Femi Falana, yes, he was part of the June 12th.
Long time.
Ogoni Nine also, and there are lots of posthumous conferments on national honor here. So Ken Sarua too will be given CON.
I do think that when it comes to national honor, are you with me? First and foremost, a lot of it comes at the discretion of the president and who he believes, and the committee that works with him towards ascertaining those names, who he believes have contributed a lot to Nigeria. When I heard a number of people on those names, both those who have died and those who are living currently, many of them have contributed to the growth of this country. So you can't take away their names being there. Even if some people will say, oh, and I know one of the names that they will talk about is Mr. Bayo Onanuga. But the truth of it is that he has contributed immensely to what we have today in journalism. So you can't take that away from him. You might not like, it's not about his personality. It's about what contributions he has put in place towards the growth of journalism in Nigeria, and that you can't take away. Bill Gates, because of the number of things he's done in Nigeria in terms of the Bill Gates Foundation, when it used to be the Bill and Melinda Foundation, now the Gates Foundation, in terms of malaria and so many other things. And yes,
it's philanthropic work.
Yeah, it's philanthropic work in Nigeria, and you're allowed to do that also. So I haven't seen comprehensively, but all those names that you've mentioned, do they deserve to get awards in Nigeria or to be honored as Nigerians who have contributed to? Yes, they do. And yes, I totally agree with them being confirmed of whatever honors that the president believes that they deserve. I do.
Okay. All right. Anyway, we have just 2 more minutes to go before Sam Dandy comes up for entertainment. Let's now look at another story from the Daily Independent. Tinubu may delay 2026 budget presentation over 2025 performance report. I think this is a very interesting conversation. Page 6 has that. There might be a delay of the 2026 budget presentation over the 2025 performance report. So far, so good. There were talks, especially from the presidency, that the implementation of the 2025 fiscal year should actually be sped up. They need more implementations and so on. Experts have also spoken deeply about this concerning, because ever since the budget presentation for 2025 was done, there seemed to have been an overlap from 2024, if you recall, entering 2025. And now experts are also saying, okay, fine, all these all these presentations and what we see so far so good, we have not felt the impact of what is really going on. And now, so fast, we're now going to 2026, and there's going to be another presentation again. Maybe, hopefully, this time there wouldn't be the singing of your mandate, we shall stand in the National Assembly. What do you make of all of what do you make of all of this in terms of the concerns?
So let me wear my finance and accounting cap now. Okay. So there is a period for you to start to look at budgets for the next year.
Okay.
And that period is now. However, one of the things that you use to start to look at how you prepare the budget for next year is when you look at the first 3 quarters of the current year.
How the budget,
and how you
implementation.
The implementation, the things that need to be done, the amount of income that you expected, and that starts to give you an idea of what the projections will be, and then also starts to give you an idea of when you guesstimate the last quarter. So for instance, let me give revenue as an example. if you said you were going to make 1,200 naira for the year, and by September you're already making 1,200, you can actually now say, okay, every month we're making about 150 or more. Do you understand? Meaning that our projections to the end of the year, that 150 will take us from 1,200 to XY. And then you can also use that to start to plan and say, if we've done...
Yeah, like the president a few weeks ago said they've met their revenue targets for the year.
Yeah, but aside from that's what I'm saying. So he needs
just one of the components.
Yes, that's one of the components. So you now start to say, okay, now I can now start to think that, okay, if we said it was 100 we were going to be making every month and we're making 150, then when we look at the things that we've used to make that 150, how do we improve on them so that we can say, okay, we should be able to project that it's 200 we should be making from 2026. So I do agree that he needs to look at all that, and the team has to provide him with that guidance. So in terms of what's it called, parastatals and all, just coming in and say, oh, this is the budget, we increase it by 5% for next year, that would stop. Then it will now be based on the activities that have been done, which is how much of it has been implemented. Because you could be implementing only 50-60% of what the expectations of the budgets are, and we are making more money. Like you said, we've met our revenue target, but the implementation of the things to drive that revenue, was it 100% or is it just 70%? Because that gives you an idea of what to do for 2026. That if I'm doing 70% implementation and I'm making 100% revenue in terms of my target, then if I push my implementation to 100%, then I should be able to maybe say add another 20-30% to it. So I totally agree with what he wants to do. Are you with me? But I think the thing that needs to be done is that the data and the information that needs to come out, at least for the end of the third quarter, should have been out. It should be out before the end of this month. So it still gives him enough time to get people, when you're submitting your budget, to do that.
Thank you so much for your analysis, as always, Uade Aime. I would let Joe Hansen handle the part of your designation, because I'm still struggling to get used to it. Uade Aime of what?
Relax now.
Okay.
Relax.
Answer me now.
Relax. We have entertainment up next. They know who he is. He doesn't, a big man doesn't need to
happy customer service week, my brother.
Happy customer service.
Thank you very much.
Happy customer service week.
Thank you very much.
Anything for
anyone. Coming up next is Entertainment Roundup with Samuel Ojo, aka Sam Dandy. We now bring you Entertainment Roundup with one of the most finest presenters in the history of News Central. Entertainment Roundup with Samuel Ojo. Please take it over.
An honor. Well, let's get into it, because entertainment is popping. Afrobeat taking center stage right now on a global scene as 4 Nigerian megastars land spots on Rolling Stone's 250 greatest songs of the 21st century list.
Wow.
Wizkid and Tems ranked highest with their 2020 hit Essence at 22 spot, while Tems made her own entry with her solo hit Free Mind. Of course, she's the biggest selling female artist for a reason out of Africa. African giant Burna Boy's Last made the list at 95. Davido's timeless hit Unavailable also made the cut, featuring South Africa's Musa Keys, and the list packed with global icons now affirms what Africans have known for years. Afrobeats isn't just popular, it's timeless. Now, this recognition comes on the back of Tems' global win, multiple Grammy nominations. Wizkid hit 8 billion streams, and Burna Boy made history as the first African solo artist to headline a U.S. stadium. So it's really popping for Afrobeat stars, and this is just honestly the beginning. Let's move from that to talk about cultural influence. Lagos State has officially named a street after Afro pop star Adekunle Gold in his childhood neighborhood of Koshofe. Known for hits like Oriente and High, the singer has evolved into style and a sound icon, blending high life with a global flair. Now, with this move, Lagos joins a growing list of cities recognizing artists as key voices in shaping identity and community pride. Adekunle, who recently wrapped a world tour, thanked fans and the government, calling the honor surreal. Now, AG Baby seems to have it all figured out. The 38-year-old star is a father, married to sensational Nigerian singer Simi, and that's beside earning both critical and commercial success, including multiple awards. Plus, Fuji the album is lit, so if you haven't heard that, I'll be surprised. Speaking about us taking over, with Afrobeats now a Grammy-recognized genre, African artists are coming in strong for the 2026 Grammy season. Davido, Burna Boy, Ira Star, Ashake, Tyler, Uncle Waffles, and there's more, are all submitting projects under the newly created Best African Music Performance and, of course, global categories. Now, most of these stars are no strangers to the Grammys, but it's more peculiar this year with several submissions for major categories. Let me give examples. Wizkid's Morayo album and Burna Boy's No Sign of Weakness for Album of the Year, not Global Album, Album of the Year, Wizkid's Piece of My Heart and Sabi Girl Ira Star's Hot Buddy for Record of the Year and Song of the Year. I mean, the competition will be wild on the international scene. Grammy winner Tyler, of course, has submitted a Push to Start for 4 possible categories. Now, it's a major win for us in this time because we do stand a chance this year, even more than other years. Remember, there's more African professionals, including Davido, who is now a Recording Academy voting member. The official list of nominees is expected to drop next month.
Can he vote for himself?
November 2025. And the Grammys are happening February next year, so I'm excited.
Can he vote for himself?
Stop.
I don't think so. I don't think he can do that. I don't think he can do
But
that.
we're doing very well, and I hope, and I'm sure we'll win 1 or 2 awards.
Maybe more. I do think it's incredible that we could possibly even be nominated for global awards.
So when are we expecting the official nominations?
Next month, November.
Okay, so this is just submission.
I want to predict quickly.
Talk to me.
Wizkid is winning more.
I mean, Wizkid is Grammy winner. For Wizkid and Burna, this is easy because the Grammys recognize.
Wizkid and Burna.
Do you know if Speed Darlington sent in his nomination?
But
he's no human being.
But did you hear that Gaze Baba, you know, for the No Turning Back, the gospel song, he
Oh
actually
yes,
did submit as well.
For gospel category.
It wasn't actually gospel. I hear it's for actually Best African Music Performance.
Yeah, and Seun Kuti submitted for world music.
World music, always. They always go for world
I'm super proud of us, you know. And let's see how this one pans out. Let's move from that one. In an unexpected career pivot, Nigerian singer and entrepreneur Mr. Easy has announced plans to run for president in an undisclosed African country. The leg-over hitmaker, known for fusing music with business through, of course, Empower Africa and investments in tech, made the revelation in a video that sparked online, of course, speculations. While details are unclear, the newly married star said his decision is driven by a desire to serve and not for financial gain. He's officially putting himself forward for presidency, but for one country. Now, it's not too surprising. Entertainers have done this in the past. I mean, I can go and talk about Yuson Do, Bobby Wine, but I'm looking forward to this, maybe. What do you think?
Well, he should just focus. He's just married. He should focus.
Wow,
build his
focus on what,
family.
making babies?
Yeah, making babies.
Because you don't want to
family.
carry
He
the
shouldn't
problems
delve
of a
into politics.
nation
He doesn't
in your
need that
head
now.
especially in the
But I know
early
he's
stages
joking.
of your life.
I know he's
so?
joking. I
Yeah,
know
it has to be a joke.
I know he's joking. Maybe he wants to drop an album called The President.
Wow.
Maybe. So
Or maybe
just
he's
needs
running
to-
for president of his estate residential association.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of them. So
Or president of
I can't believe
recording artists in his lungu.
Wow. Well, we'll find out. We're going to wrap it up with this one. The CEO of Maverick City Music, Norman Galfi, has denied recent allegations made by Grammy-winning worship leader Chandler Moore in a lawsuit alleging breach of contract, withholding royalties, conversion fraud, and emotional distress. In a response, Maverick City's co-founder, Jonathan Jay, denied all allegations, calling them false and describing Moore's lawsuit as a strategic attempt to break valid agreements. The label insists that it acted in good faith and welcomes scrutiny, with legal disputes, of course, still unfolding. Now, the controversy casts a shadow over one of the most influential worship collectives in recent years, known for reshaping modern gospel in diversity, of course, in this Christian music era. I'm a little surprised by this. Let's not lie. The first thing that came to my mind was, of course, Mercy Chinwo and her former management, Easy Concepts.
But you expect this sort of lawsuits and back and forth in the genre of gangster rap, you know, like Tupac.
And hip-hop.
Get money, but not, how can you be singing gospel music and you're supposed to be, exactly, you should be holier than thou.
So they should let God fight the battle?
Exactly.
let God fight.
I don't know about that. That's why there are laws in place. I beg, especially when it's money. Because if I got bills to pay and I'm singing.
Regardless of what
regardless. Anyway, this is what we anchor the entertainment for today. I'm sure you could get more from Sam Dandy. Time for 30 today.
Central.
I really wish they could incorporate Entertainment Central into our show. You should be doing 1 hour on Breakfast Central every day. This is my best segment. It's better than politics, fam.
Joe does not agree.
This big guy, I think the Abuja fever is still affecting him. Anyway, thanks, Daddy. 4:30, catch
so
Daddy.
much.
Thanks for watching Breakfast Central. We're out and about until we come your way again.
Have a
that
great
will
weekend,
be
guys.
next
Bye.
week, Monday. All right. Till then, bye.